How you doing, guys? Welcome back to another video with InfoSec Pat. In this video, what we're going to be doing is a little BGP lab with 4 routers, 4 different autonomous systems, and I want to show you how to configure it, get it all set up, and the ultimate goal is to ping from router 1 to router 4, and from router 4 to router 1, and we can do a trace route, and we can make sure we're going through each individual router to get from router 1 to router 4. So we're going to go through router 1, router 2, router 3, and then router 4, and then the other way around from router 4, router 3, router 2, router 1. All right, so I had some fun putting this lab together. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get into the video. Thank you. All right, hey guys. So I want to show you some of the configs first, just to make sure nothing is configured. And let's go on router 1, CLI. And we don't have to make this big actually. We can just bring this over like this. Okay, and R1, we're going to do show IP protocols. There's nothing running on R1. Do show IP route or show IP interface brief. We can see that we have IP addresses set up. I did set up the IP addresses for loopback 0 and the gigabit Ethernet 000. Okay, as you can see right there. And we can see the interface config right here to interface on router 2 to router 3 to router 4. So let's go ahead and go to router 2. All right. Go to CLI. Make this bigger, enter, R2, enter, so show IP protocols first, excuse me, just to make sure no protocols are running on this router, and then show IP interface brief. Okay, as you see is 8.8.8.2, and then 2222, okay, and we can do show IP route as well. We can just see everything is locally connected, and show IP BGP, there's nothing yet. Okay, let's do the same thing. Let's just make sure on all of our routers before we start getting into the configuration. So show IP protocols, show IP BGP, nothing, show IP interface brief. Perfect. All right, so we're cooking. So we have three interfaces. We have one that's going, let's just bring this down a little bit and we can bring this up. So let's make sure you can see. So router 3 from on gigabit 00, it's 17.1.1.1 that's going through gigabit 0, going out to router 4, and then going back to router 2 is gigabit Ethernet 0/1, okay? And then we have a loopback. Okay, cool. Let's go to router 4. Excuse me. Let's do the same exact thing just to make sure. Enable show IP protocols. Nothing, show IP BGP. Nothing, show IP interface brief. And we should only have 2. Okay, and the reason being is because we have a loopback, and then from gigabit Ethernet 00 going out to router 3. All right, cool. All right, so if you're ready, let's get started configuring these bad boys. Right, so let's go to router 1, back to router 1, and then so first things first, we're going to do configure terminal. Okay, and in configure terminal, how we do OSPF, EIGRP, same thing. So it's going to be router. If you do question mark, we're going to do BGP. Okay. And then we do question mark, we have to do an autonomous system number. Okay. So the autonomous system number for here is 65001. Okay. So 65001. Okay. So now when we're in here, let's do the question mark. Now we're going to do network. Okay. So in network, actually what we're going to do first, I don't want to do the network first. So let me actually bring this over a little bit so I can see the neighbor. So I'm going to do neighbor first. Okay. And then our neighbor is going to be 8.8.8.2. Okay. That's the router 2. Okay. So .2 and then question mark. And then we can do remote at AS, the remote autonomous system, which is, before we do that, I want to do, okay, yeah, I actually just did that. All right, so remote autonomous system, and then that's going to be on router 2, so that's 65.0.0.2, okay, and enter. Now we can do the network, and then the network we're going to do its local network, so local loopback, and then the mask, and 255, 255, 255, 255, okay, cool. And now if we do end WR, and then show IP BGP, and now we can see that all right, so there's another one. So we can do show IP BGP summary, okay? And now in here, I want to show something. All right, cool. Let me actually bring this down a little bit. And you see here the remote autonomous, the autonomous system for 8.8.8.2 is 65,002. Okay, so another one we can use is neighbors. We can do the neighbor, NEI. Okay, and in here is a lot of information, but if we go all the way up, the important thing I want to show you, let's actually make this bigger. It's probably a little easier. So a little thing that is very, very critical. See a BGP state, it's active. It looks good, right? But when it's active, that means it's no bueno. So what this has to be is established. And I want to show you that in a second once we start configuring the other routers and the other networks and et cetera, et cetera. I just wanted to point that out because people are like, oh, the link state or the BGP state is active. Why isn't routes exchanging, et cetera, et cetera? But this is no good. It has to be established, okay? So I think we're good on router 1. So let's go on to router 2. All right, we can make this bigger. So now what we can do here is do configure terminal, and then in router 2, actually let's go back to router 1 really quick. I want to do something really, really, really quick, and let's do show IP route. Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure this is a 24-bit mask, and 32 is the loopback right here. I just wanted to make sure. All right, cool. Let's go back to router 2. All right, so in router 2, what we're going to do here is router BGP, and then the autonomous system, which on router 2 is going to be 65,002, right? Let's go ahead and just double check that. It's smaller, okay, right here. You see this right here, 65,002. Let's make this, see if we can just widen this out a little bit. Okay, perfect. All right, so now we can just do neighbor, and then the neighbor is going to be from router 2. The neighbor is going to be 8.8.8.1, right? 8.8.8.1, perfect. And then remote AS is going to be 65,001, okay? 65001. Okay, now we have an adjacency, so now we can see that's up. Of course, that is our neighbor. Okay, so in here now we can do network. We're going to do the local. Okay, and the mask, the loopback, I should say. Okay, and then 32 bits. Okay, and then the next one, we can do another network, which is going to be the 8.8.8.0 24-bit. Okay, so 8.8.8.0 with a mask of 255.255.255.0. Okay, and now let's just make sure. I think there's going to be one more right here. We have to do the 15. Okay, so let's do network 15.1.1.0 with a mask 24 bits. Okay. Hopefully you guys are following along. Okay, and now we can end WR. Let's make sure that's show IP BGP. Perfect. Now we can start seeing neighbors, and you see here, let's make this bigger. Autonomous system 65,001 went right here is the loopback address, and the next hop was its router interface right here, 000, which gig 0/0/0, and then it made it to our autonomous system, which is our router. So now we should be able to ping 1.1.1.1, perfect, and we should be able to ping 8.8.8.8.1, perfect. All right, I think we're looking good. So now we should, let's see, let's look at here one last thing. I think we should be okay, but let's do one more thing. I think, let me see something. Show run pipe include BGP. Okay, show run. Let's make sure. I think I forgot one thing. Yeah, I did. I forgot one thing for the neighbor for 03. All right, cool. So that's why we have to check. So let's go ahead and configure terminal, and then router BGP 65,002, and then neighbor 15.1.1.2, and then remote as 65,003, 65,003. Okay. I think that should be good. Let's check. 65,000. Make sure that's the next hop. Okay, perfect. I think we are good. Okay, so let's go ahead and do show IP BGP. Perfect. Okay, show run. Let's make sure that's in there. And 65,000. Perfect. All right, so we're looking good on router 2. Okay, so let's make sure we save that. Okay, now let's jump onto router 3. Okay, so let's go to router 3. We're going to continue down the path of this configuration. And so configure terminal, and then router BGP, and this one's going to be 65,003. Whoops. Perfect. And now our neighbor is going to be 15.1.1.1. Let's make sure. Bring this down a little bit. Let's make sure. Let's go here. Okay, so let's go down, baby. All right, so 55, and then remote AS is going to be 65,002. Okay, from router 3. All right, now we have adjacencies there, and then our next neighbor will be neighbor. We're going to do 65,004, right? Because 17.1.1.2. Okay. Remote AS 65,004. Perfect. Awesome. So that should be good now. Now let's do the networks. And in the network, the first one's going to be its loopback, mask, that 255, because that's a 32-bit. And then the next one is going to be the 15. Network 15.1.1.0 with a mask of 24. Okay. Whoop, sorry. All right. I think we're cooking. So what other one? We have to do 17. Okay. Network 17.1.1.0 with a mask of 24 bits. That's 0. Okay, I think we are golden. All right, let's so from let's do show IP BGP. Perfect, we're looking good. So I'll explain what's happening here. So for the network 1.1.1.1, that's on router 1. So from here, the path is going to 65,002, which is router 2, to 65,001, which is router 1. So in order to, so now if we should be able to ping 1.1.1.1. Perfect. And let's do trace route 1.1.1.1, and we can see the route. So the first hop is router 3's outside interface, then it's going to router 2, right? And then actually it's going to from router 3 to router 2 interface right here, and then to router 1. Okay, cool. So let's do show IP BGP. Oh, I wanted to show you guys, yeah, BGP summary. Okay, just want to make sure everything's looking good here. The identifier is 333. Okay, our neighbors, perfect. And then the last one will be, whoops, neighbors. Okay, so now let's make this bigger for a second. And see, before I said when it was active, it's no good. So when it's established, it's good. So now we can see that the state is established, so that we're in good news. Let's go ahead and go down a little bit. And this is what right here, perfect. So active, BGP state for this remote autonomous system 65004, sorry, this external link, it says active. And the reason being is because we don't have a route on router 4 to know how to exchange routes with router 3. So as we can see here, let's go back down. So 17.1.1.2, which is router 4, we haven't configured that yet. So that's why this is active. And once I want to leave this open, and once we configure router 4, which we're going to be doing right about now, and we're going to come back up to that router 3 and then hit the up arrow and see it established. Okay, so let's go ahead and configure router 4. All right, so let's make this bigger and bring this down so I can see all the configurations that I'm doing. All right, perfect. So now let's do configure terminal. Okay, so router BGP, and then this one is 65.0.0.4. Perfect. And then the neighbor will be 17.1.1.1. Remote autonomous system 65.0.0.3, which is router 3. Okay, so now we've got a BGP adjacency. So now let's go ahead and network, sorry, we just did the neighbor. So network is going to be the local, which is 4.4.4.4 with a mask of 32 bits. Okay, and the next one is going to be router 3. So the link between those two is a 17.1.1.0. So network 17.1.1.0 with a mask of 24 bits. Whoops. Okay, I think we should be good. So now we can do show IP BGP. All right, now we're cooking. So now let's make this bigger. Okay, so to get to router 1, we have to go through router 3, router 2 to router 1. So now let's go ahead from router 4. The ultimate goal is to ping from router 4 to router 1, and then from router 1 to router 4, so we can communicate and traverse through the whole network. All right, so let's ping 1.1.1.1, perfect, and trace route 1.1.1.1, perfect. We can see that, and let's go ahead and go. We're almost done here. So now let's go ahead and go back to this router. Now this neighbors came up. Now let's go ahead and hit OK, and let's go all the way down. Should be a lot of stuff here, but let's go back to what we were looking at before, which is right here, BGP neighbor 17.1.1.2, because the autonomous system was router 4, which is 0.0.4, and now it's established. It went from active to established. Okay, so I think we are golden. Now let's go ahead and go to router 1, the last step, which will be you do show IP BGP summary. Okay, perfect. We can see a summary. We can see the router identifier, which is a loopback. Perfect. So now let's go ahead and ping 4.4.4.4. Bada bing. All right. So now let's trace route 4.4.4.4. And we're going from router 1. Let's go here. Let's do this. So hop 1 is 8.8.8.2, which is router 2. The next hop is router 3, 15.1.1.2, right here. And the next hop is going out of gig 00 to gig 00 on router 4. So we are good. So we can do show IP route, and we can see the BGP routes. And we can just do, let's go up and do BGP. So we can just, so we don't have to look at all this craziness. So we can see all the BGP neighbors, the BGP routes, and BGP also has its own routing table, which is show IP BGP. Okay, and this is how it's getting to each individual hop. And for example, network 1, this is the path, to get to the network 2, it's going through this autonomous system. Network 3 is going through these 2 autonomous systems. Network 4 is going through these 3, etc., etc. All right, so that's pretty much sums this video up. I really appreciate you guys joining today with this BGP lab. And if you have any questions about the lab, give it a go yourself, configure it the same exact way. And if you want to, I think, I don't remember if I did, but let's go ahead and on router 4, show IP interface brief, so you guys can, simulate or emulate the same way that I have this configured, and try to give it a go. All right. So I really thank you for joining, and please like, subscribe, share with your friends and family, and more videos to come. I really appreciate it. Thank you, and stay tuned. Have a good one.